How about that old Rabbit River truck there? You got those ears on?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're at the Super Rigs over here in Selma, Texas, and you're nice enough to get the truck out on the road and stretch your legs out on it so we can get one of these interviews here. So thanks for coming out.
You betcha, sir. I enjoy your videos. It's a pleasure to come out and do one with you.
Your truck there has been seen in a number of different places, and I'm sure it's going to end up in a lot more things pretty soon. So tell me what you got there, what you're working with, and all the truck specs that a guy would want to hear about.
It's a 2015 389 Peterbilt glider kit built by Fitzgerald Gliders in Crossville, Tennessee. It's got a Series 6500 horsepower Detroit with a 13-speed behind it and 342 rears.
So that's pretty brand spanking new then, huh?
Yeah, it's got almost 15,000 miles on it.
Well, what do you do with it?
We haul Reefer, all 48 states. I generally stay on the East Coast, New Jersey, Long Island, up into New England, and back to Holland, Michigan, terminals in Holland, Michigan. Everything pretty much comes in and out of that area over there.
Is there a certain type of product that you find yourself hauling?
We have a contract with Boar's Head Deli Meats, and that's primarily what we haul, and most of it goes to little provision places that they take the stuff out in their little straight trucks to their customers, to the stores and whatnot. We just deliver to them, and for the most part they're happy to see you there early. Most of them will get you unloaded early, and they treat us pretty good on that end.
Well, that's good. So you guys are a crucial part in that supply chain to get food and things like that to where it needs to go for the end user.
Absolutely, yeah. We haul a lot to the little places. We'll have one stop, sometimes 3, 4, 5 stops, and once it gets to them, then they get the product out to the customer. We get it to them.
10-4. This guy here in this white car, he slaps over in that left lane with a big old smile on his face. There's been some times where I was filming Josh Van Wagner, and we were going north on 75, and people were giving thumbs up and waving and smiling. It was pretty funny.
I'll tell you what, I get more thumbs up, waves, and big smiles and stuff from people in the cars driving down the road in this truck than I do from the big trucks. It makes me happy to see them have that kind of reaction to this truck. It blows my mind and just puts a big smile on my face every time they do it.
And you're in there, you're doing your job, you just happen to have a truck that looks nice, and there's other guys out there doing that same job, and it would certainly lift their spirits if somebody gave them a thumbs up or a wave. The job they're doing is just as important,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, them days of the kids, we still get the kids doing the arm pump for the air horn, and but it's not as prevalent as it used to be, which I wish it would. People need to get rid of that negative look on the trucks, and we're not criminals out here. We're out here doing our job, and the trucking industry used to have respect from everybody, and now it's hard to get respect from even your fellow truckers. It's a different breed anymore.
Yeah, that's true, and one of the things that I wanted to touch on eventually, and this might be a good time to start talking about it, would be even just trying to talk to somebody across the way on the CB. A lot of times you need to know what's going on northbound or southbound, and I've heard from a lot of guys that it's hard to get people on the CB anymore.
No, absolutely is. For the most part, these bigger companies, they don't even have CBs in their trucks. It makes me wonder anymore if their companies are telling them not to put them in there because they're a distraction. But if they do have them in there, they're off, and they got their cell phone up to their head, and they don't pay attention to anything anymore. It's terrible.
Yeah, I hear you. Tell me your name. Who am I talking to there?
Oh, my name's Eric Adams. I've been driving for 15 years, and I got my wife sitting here beside me. Her name's Melonie. We've been married we've been together since 1999, and it'll be 4 years of marriage on Thursday, and this is the first time she's ever gone on a longer run with me, so I think she's having fun. First time she's ever been to a big truck show, too, so I'm hoping she's having fun here.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Welcome along to the show there, Melonie, and welcome along on this whole rolling CB interview show here. Now, did you tell me how long you've been trucking for? I believe you did, and if not, go ahead and reiterate and tell me how you got into trucking.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 15 years. Both of my grandpas, my dad, 2 of my uncles, it's in the family DNA, and I made up my mind in high school that I wasn't going to be a truck driver, and I went and took a welding course and got certified in welding and did that until, it was probably about 20 or so, 21, and I just had enough of standing in the warehouse in the factory doing the same thing every day, and I went and got my CDL and started trucking, and here we are. It was in my blood and going to happen eventually anyway. I should have just done it from the beginning.
Now, were you always pulling a reefer?
The majority of what I've done is reefer. I've done dry van, I've done flatbed, I've done tank, hauled milk, 10 to 12 stops farms picking up milk. I've hauled coal and tri-axle dump truck, tractor trailer dump. I've done just about everything, I think, other than heavy haul and over dimensional.
All right, 10-4, so you got a good variety of experience under your belt. What would be your favorite thing to pull?
No, I enjoy the reefer work. I like what we do with the Boar's Head and the little provision places. I've had my fill of the grocery warehouse nonsense and the lumpers. We don't deal with that very much, so we're pretty blessed on that end.
If they got it to where it makes a nice experience where you can go in there and get delivered and not have to want to rip your hair out, then that's a good deal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, he was dead on when he said about the lumper fees and them guys not giving a crap whether you're there or not. And if you do unload yourself, they make it a pain. They'll have electric pallet jacks in there, and if you want to do it yourself, you got to use a hand jack trying to yank 2,000 or 3,000 pound skids out of a trailer, and they pretty much want you to pay the lumpers the ridiculous fees they charge. But like I said, we're blessed on that and not doing much of the grocery warehouse stuff, getting the Boar's Head to the little provision places, and it works out good.
Now, when you make a round, how long are you usually gone for?
On my normal rounds, I'll usually leave Michigan on Monday. I deliver wherever I'm going, usually Tuesday, reload that same day, and then I'll be back in Michigan usually Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, and do it all over again. So
you're making about 2 rounds a week, something like that?
Normally, yeah, but every now and again I do get these longer ones, like coming down here, and this time I'll be out for probably about 3 weeks before I get home, but generally I'm home on the weekends for a day and a half, and I take off again.
Well, that's nice. Some guys, they don't have that situation. I'm sure Melonie can weigh in on that. Over the years, I'm sure it wasn't always this way, but why don't you hand the mic over to her, and what is it like when Eric leaves the house and some of the things that you have to do and some of the emotions that you go through?
Well, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I am lucky that he, does get home a little more often than most. If I wouldn't have tagged along to this Super Rig show, it would have been 3 weeks or longer before I seen him. Definitely being a trucker's wife it's a hard job. I mean, aside from having knowing that support's out there for you, if you have children or anything, you're basically a single parent. When our son was younger, everything was up to me. The housework, the yard work, and if the car broke down or anything, it was all up to me to take care of. Bills, everything. I, got to do it all on my own. So luckily our son's 14, he'll be 15 in September, so, I do have some help from him.
Right, well that's a classic example of how life continues when you're your husband or you're away from the house. And some people think that it's all fun and games to be out on the road and you're sightseeing and traveling, and no, there's lots of things that have to be done. Eric mentioned that you're coming to the first big truck show. What are you thinking so far about this truck show and everything that you've seen here so far?
I've gone to different little shows here and there, but yeah, the Super Rigs is definitely my first big one. He was telling me about the show in Florida and how much fun it was, just the people and the trucks and everything, and I'm definitely impressed. I mean, it was some hard work getting the truck cleaned up and ready for the show, but it's been good just enjoying the weather and the trucks rolling in and the different things and the other drivers out on the road, and it's been great. I mean, I'm definitely sunburnt, but it's been great.
Now, with those other little shows that you've participated in, those shows didn't require you to get underneath the truck and clean like you were cleaning when I came across the both of you the other day now, was it?
Oh, no, and I didn't realize that there was actually that much cleaning and detailing and work involved in, these bigger shows and, what these judges are looking for and they look at. And yeah, I was underneath the truck and cleaning every bolt and nut and frame and underneath the deck plate and you name it, it's clean under there.
A 10-4. I'm sure Eric loves you for that, all that effort you put in that way.
Oh yeah, I got the dirty work, but it was, it was easier for me under the truck. I'm a little bit smaller, I can kind of sit up under there.
10-4. So, if you could give advice to some guy that wanted to run a reefer, maybe they've been running a dry van or something else or flatbed and they just want to change it up, what are some of the pros and cons that you can share with them from your experience that would maybe help their decision-making process?
The pros, I guess that would all vary on the company you went with too, but we haul a variety of freight that goes to quite a different places, so we do get to see a lot of the country, and yeah, like I said, we haul a variety of freight to, different places, which makes it nice to have the opportunity to go different places in the United States where a lot of things keep you, just stuck in one section of the country, running the Northeast or running the Southeast, or we have variety, and with the Reefer it seems like that happens a lot more, having that variety and that chance to run different places. And the cons, I mean, depending on what's in that trailer, you really got to babysit it. If you're hauling produce, you're constantly watching the temperature of the reefer, you're constantly back there pulping the produce and checking the internal temperature of it, and you got to watch the humidity in there. The load will spoil, or you'll get hot spots on the way home with it or wherever you're going with it, and it's not as easy indoor swinging as a lot of people like to say it is.
All right, well, you mentioned some things that maybe some person may not know about. You talked about hot spots and humidity and things like that. And one key term, babysitting. Obviously, somebody can figure out what that is. You're on duty with this particular load until you get it off. But what are some of those crucial things that you're talking about? Those hot spots and things. How does that stuff occur?
Well, like if you're hauling produce, you got to run it on continuous. The continuous cycle keeps the trailer obviously at one pretty continuous temperature, and they also have a start-stop cycle, which it'll vary 5 or so degrees one way or the other as it shuts off, and it'll kick back on. And with the produce, it's got to be on continuous, or there'll be sections of the load that are warmer than others that will get warmer, and it'll wilt the produce, whatever's in there. And the humidity, when it is on the start-stop cycle, the humidity level will go up in there. It won't be controlled as much, which will also cause too much moisture in there, which will cause the produce that's in there to spoil.
So, there really shouldn't be a trial and error process when you're dealing with, a large quantity of produce. You really got to know what settings you need to use. I mean, what are some of the things, how'd you learn that? I mean, was there a manual that came along with the trailer? That's kind of a silly question, but how'd you learn that?
Actually, with some of the new trailers, there are manuals and there are digital pre-programmed settings for produce and meats and frozen and deep freeze and stuff. But no, back when I started, we hauled a lot of mushrooms, and mushrooms are really sensitive to temperature change and stuff in the trailer, and it'll make them turn brown in a hurry. And I rode along with the guy for a couple rounds, and he pretty much taught me everything I needed to know about running, the reefer as far as doing that particular product that we were hauling. So I learned the old way, and it's not trial and error. It's not just for somebody to jump out of I can't say that, I guess. I mean, you can come out of anything and try anything else, but I would hope to God you have enough common sense to have somebody either show you a little bit or at least a mentor to, help you with it.
And what you mentioned, having somebody to show you, that's invaluable, because it takes some of that stress away from getting things wrong. If some guy can just say, let me be shown the way. You can't figure it out. Everybody can't figure everything out, but it's cool that you mentioned that. So I think that's beneficial, and hopefully somebody can go like, yep, you know what? My cousin runs reefer, or my uncle runs reefer. I'd say bend their ear and learn as much as you can.
Absolutely. That's where that old adage, the only stupid question is the one that isn't asked. It comes in right there.
Almost every driver that I interview and do the interviews with, I ask them about highway safety and what they could share with a motorist in order to keep them safe on the road while they drive in and around your truck and trailer. What would you share with them if you had that chance?
I know it's been said 100 times, and I'll say it again. Following too closely behind the tractor trailer is just, we can't even see it back here. That's one of the dumbest things you can do. If we have a tire blow or have to hit the brakes, that car is going to get right up under the back of that trailer. But at that same aspect, these ones that, they have that I have to be in front of the truck mentality don't realize that being in front of the loaded truck is the stupidest possible place you can be, because if something happens to you or right in front of you and we can't get stopped, that motorist is toast. And I know it's also been said before about the driving beside somebody. That irritates me to no end. That's if you're gonna pass. If you're not, then get back behind the truck and stay there. And another thing is when it's raining, turn your headlights on. And to those of you who want to say the same thing I've been told 100 times, well, I have daytime driving lights. I hate to be the one to inform you, those don't light up the back of your vehicle.
Good point there. Very good point.
I don't know, you gotta use common sense when you're around an 80,000 pound truck. Common sense is not so common anymore. All they see on TV and on news is this truck did this truck did that, and they don't tell you about the 200 million other trucks that were going down the road that day that did not run into anything, did not back into anything, or did not have a car drive under them, or, most of the time a truck driver will go out of his way to avoid hurting the general public, to the point that there has been so many of them that have lost their own lives trying to avoid hurting someone in a passenger vehicle, and that's terrible. Well, not terrible. Truck drivers have big hearts. We're out here just like everybody else, and we will do our best to avoid hitting somebody that does something stupid. And it's a shame, is what it is, that a truck driver has to lose his life or take the life of somebody else trying to avoid someone else's stupid mistake around them.
Yes, you're right. And I can only think what those families went through, where a driver did have to do that, did have to take evasive action to to avoid a collision. Oh, look, like these two here. I mean, we kind of joked about, the driving habits. Of course, yes, it is Friday at 5:30 on a Friday, and sure, we know what happens at rush hour. Those type of moves, if you are loaded back there, then you had some situation to deal with. And those little things are the things that will be staying in these videos. I'm not going to be taking those things out.
Oh, I'd appreciate that, because what I did there is what should be done even with the cars, is keep that safety cushion between me and you in case something happens in front of you. And that is the stuff that happens when you do that. They think that's an open invitation to just jump right over there whether there's room or not.
Now, Eric, you're running that truck there, and it's a fine looking truck. It's a brand new truck. Now, at any time, were you ever a truck owner or owner operator?
Yes, I was. Yes, I had trucks leased on to another company.
Okay. And with that experience, I guess at some point you decided to not do what you do with your own trucks and come back and drive for a company. How do you take that experience that you had running your own trucks and apply it to running someone else's truck?
I run this truck like it's still mine. I mean, I try my very best to take care of it. And, as far as keeping it clean, inside, outside, I'm very meticulous about keeping trucks clean, especially on the inside. I can't stand a hogged up truck, and neither can most truck owners that have drivers in them. And I go out of my way to try to find cheaper fuel, to stay as shorter route miles as you can. I try my very best not to idle. This one doesn't have an APU or anything on it, so if it gets overly hot or overly cold, and being a black truck, it gets very hot inside here, so sometimes you do have to idle. And I do a lot of the, can't say a lot of the maintenance, but a lot of stupid little maintenance that can be done alongside the road. I have no problem with doing it, and I've been under, not this truck, but another truck I drove here that had a radiator hose start leaking antifreeze all over the place, and I was underneath that truck changing that hose and put the antifreeze back in, covered in antifreeze, and what would have been probably a $300 service call took $30 worth of hose clamps and a couple gallon of antifreeze, and I was back on the road, which also saves downtime too, because I know I got everything fixed and was back rolling again way faster than that service truck ever would have got there. Them little mechanical things like adjusting the brakes and stuff like that, I have no problem climbing under there to do that, because that can save you from sitting at a scale house and getting put out of service, or rolling right through and having no problems and not getting them points on your CSA score and against your company for maintenance. But there's a lot of these big companies on the same note though. They tell their drivers, don't even change a headlight, don't do this, don't, if it needs anything, you take it to a garage, and that's no way to be with them. Them drivers need to know how to change headlights and change lights, and I believe that should be something that's not only taught in the truck driving schools and by companies now, it should be mandatory by them to do it.
I think so as well. Being in the passenger seat, I'm sure, Melonie, you probably get to see a little more than Eric does. What are some of the things that you've seen?
Yeah, this trip was definitely an eye-opener for me. I've watched cars going down the highway with perfect examples. There was a gentleman driving a pickup truck actually kind of beside us, and he had a tablet on one leg, his cell phone in his hand, a GPS. 90% of the cars going down the road, not one of them was actually looking around them, paying attention. They were on cell phones. I've seen people driving down the road with books on their lap, with newspapers across their steering wheels. It is just crazy to me that people nowadays, with cell phones and the technology, how much they just do not pay attention to anything around them. They apparently think that they have a bubble on their vehicles and that that nothing's going to happen to them. It's insane.
It's rush hour traffic, and maybe just people feel they're comfortable with their route, they're comfortable with their car and how they do things, but sometimes, unfortunately, it's those things that we can't plan for and that happen.
Anybody out there, if you have a friend or family member or anybody that you know drives a truck, if you ever get the chance, even if it's just, to go down the road, ride through town or whatever, I would absolutely tell you to hop in the passenger seat and just experience being in the truck and, what all it takes and the feel for it, and to realize what you cannot see sitting in the driver's seat or the passenger seat. It'll definitely give you a different outlook on these guys that are out here working and, trying to do their job and get back home to their families.
I really appreciate your input on that. Well, Eric, as we come back in here and into super rigs, it's been nice taking a spin out there on the highways of Texas there. I appreciate you bringing Melonie along and getting her input just as well. And I look forward to seeing you soon at some other shows.
All right, thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work and informing the public of what they need to be doing around us big trucks.
You got it. It's my pleasure.